What's up, my foodie family? I hope you're all eating well. Thank you for coming back to the channel. Today, we're doing another episode of Turning Negatives into Positives. And I just wanted to say, shout out to all the fathers out there. A happy Father's Day. I know I don't think fathers get enough appreciation. Just in general. Fathers are always expected to be strong and keep pushing and just to be the father and, grin and bear it. But, you know, I think fathers bring a lot to the table. And especially because there are some fathers out there who they jump through a lot of hoops. They got it real bad. They have to do a lot in order to see their kids for whatever reason, for whatever the situation is. And a lot of times the kids don't even understand all of the hoops that a father has to jump through to be there. So, I respect all fathers who do everything they can to be in their kids' lives, who jump through all of those hoops, and no matter how difficult the situation is, they always keep showing up. I respect those fathers, especially because the state don't make it easy to be a father, especially if there's no marriage involved. If you, a lot of people don't understand. In most cases, I ain't saying all situations are the same. Whatever, different states, different laws, different people, whatever. But in my situation, what I seen that if there's no marriage involved, then the man usually has no rights to the kids at all, unless you go to court. You can go to court and get rights and get visitation rights and things like that. But it's only the rights that the mother allows per se. And then let's say you're on bad terms with the mother, how much time do you think that she's going to give you? How open do you think she's going to be to custody and maybe partial custody or visitation rights and how many days you're going to get or whatever it is? If there's no mutual respect with the mother, then it's not going to be a lot of time you're going to get. So that's a part of the hoops that I was talking about. You got to jump through a lot of hoops, and that's part of it. And then on top of jumping through hoops, you still have to live life. You still got to go to work. You still got to pay bills. You still got all your normal struggles in life. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, you still have to have the kids on your days at your place. They got to have their own clothes there. I mean, I think they got to have their own clothes there. They got to have their own room set up. They got to have everything they need at your place. And then you got to, have the food and everything you need to at your place. And then you still have to pay child support, which takes care of another person's home, which I'm not complaining, but I'm saying that, we're doing dual duty, taking care of two different houses, and then still living life and then still jumping through hoops and still showing up, and then still expected to be strong and just keep going through it, but like when we have our kids at our place, most cases, we don't get child support for that. We have to pay for that on our own, which I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, so on top of all the other stuff we have to go through, a lot of cases that we still have to show up in life and, jump through all of those hoops. And it can be difficult, you know what I mean? So I just want to take time out to say I respect all the fathers who keep showing up no matter what. I respect all the fathers who jump through all of those hoops and they're still there for their kids no matter what, no matter what they got to go through, even if they only got 1 day, 2 days, or a couple hours. Man, keep showing up. Always just keep showing up because your kids are going to remember that, man, my dad showed up for 2 hours once a week, and we hung out for 2 hours once a week. Your kid is going to remember that forever, and even even if they get older and they like, man, dad, you too old, leave me alone, I don't want to mess with you no more. They still gonna remember the fact that you showed up for those 2 hours once a week, every week. They gonna remember that, and that's how it was for me. Like, I didn't get the most amount of time with my kids, but when I showed up, I showed up. And I still wasn't a perfect father. I messed up, yelled sometimes. Man, I wasn't always great. I ain't always paid the most amount of attention to him that I could. And I'm just saying there were days where I'm like, man, leave me alone so I can go do what I want to do. I'm over here watching TV or doing whatever. So it's like, I wasn't always the most perfect father, but I was always there. I always showed up, I always had him, always did what I could because, you know, I wanted to be sure that they knew that I loved them and I did everything for them. And man, and things weren't always great. There was times when I didn't have them. I would get those calls like, yeah, so and so was in the hospital. they swallowed a battery. They got shot in the leg with a BB gun. All of these different things, and it's like, man, I gotta leave work. I gotta go to the hospital. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of things that happen. The court cases. Like I went for a year without seeing my kids. A year, a couple months. Like there was a lot. I did a lot. I even lost a child. Like there was a lot I went through, and I know a lot of fathers go through things like this, and even the fathers that don't, the fathers that are with their kids' mothers. Shout out to those fathers. You know what I mean? Like all the fathers who show up and are always there and are always supportive and always do whatever they can to be in their kids' lives. Man, thank you. Thank you for being there. More kids need that. I love that. I respect that. And like I said, the kids are always going to remember that. And that's how you create lasting memories. Just keep showing up. And then it don't matter what you do. The smallest things like you have your kids. When I had my kids, man, we would take bike rides around the neighborhood. Race around the neighborhood. Kids remember that. You know what I mean? Go to the park and play basketball. You know what I mean? Like, I'm no good at basketball, but I played basketball with my kids so many times. Taking walks around the neighborhood. You know what I mean? And then, like, even the times that I had the opportunity to take my kids on vacation, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to always remember that. I was able to do those things and create those lasting memories because I kept showing up. If I would have quit when I had that year or whatever, however long that was when I didn't see my kids, if I'd have quit then, I would have never been able to create those lasting memories. But I was able to do it because I kept showing up. And I went to court. Man, I went to court so many daggone times. The judge was like, look, Mr. Dixon, you can't come back here no more. If you want to come to court again, you got to talk to the mediator first. And the mediator is going to tell me if they think it's okay for you to come back. And if so, we'll have another court case. I'm like, man, I can't even come to court no more. And I was paying to go to court. Every time I went, I was paying. I had to file the ticket. I had to pay to go. And it was like, man, no, you can't come no more. So, keep showing up no matter what. Keep doing whatever you can for however much time you get. Take advantage of it and do the most you can because your kids are going to remember. And we need that. We need those fathers who just keep showing up. And for all the ones who do, for all the ones who jump through hoops, even the ones who don't, man, I got mad love for all of y'all. I respect all of y'all. Keep showing up. I understand how it is to be a father. I understand how it is to keep showing up. Especially, man, I've been a father ever since I was a teenager. I was a teen father. So everything I've done it as a father. Like going to culinary school, like I did that. I sacrificed my family and I went to culinary school without my family, and I would travel back every weekend whenever I could. So I made early sacrifices for my family, and I know there's fathers out there making sacrifices for their family. Like I said, living life. I made it into management. That took a lot of sacrifice. A lot of days I had to, go to work, and be a good employee to try to make it into management. And I would sacrifice those weekends where I know my family, they were going to the park without me. So I know fathers have to do things like that as well. I'm not saying mothers don't. I know mothers do too, but I know there's a lot of fathers who make those sacrifices to move up to be the good, that family man, that house dad to bring the food home on the table, and I completely understand that. And I've done that, made those sacrifices. So I understand that aspect of it, you know what I mean? And then like, even, still being creative, you know what I mean? So like I said, from being a teen father to going to culinary school to making it into management to now being entrepreneurial and creative, I've been a father the whole time. So it's possible. So any fathers out there who's having a hard time, I understand. If you had to fight for your kids and go to court, I understand. If you've had a limited amount of time for your kids, I understand. If you had to sacrifice time with your kids and go to different states to try to be a better person, to make a better living for your kids, I understand. If you if you are doing your best or have done your best to be entrepreneurial and make a legacy for your kids, and you're doing all of that while you're a father, like I understand all of those aspects, and if you had been hated on at work or hated on in life and you did that, you're still being a father. So I understand all of that. I've been through it all. And, I can relate to you if you've been through that. Just keep showing up. I respect you. And I thank all those fathers who are always showing up and there for their kids. Our kids need it. Happy Father's Day. We need to celebrate this whole month. Celebrate the whole month of June because it can be hard out there for a father. You know, it can be easy, it can be positive, it can be happy too, but it can definitely be hard. So do everything you can to create those lasting memories. Keep showing up for your kids, and I appreciate you. Happy Father's Day. Celebrate the whole month. Peace, love, and fish grease.